Hi there, my name is Loewe. Welcome to my channel where I discuss everything between Hermes and grocery bags. You might wonder why I've rolled up all these bags here today. Am I going to do a collection video? No, I am not. Perhaps in the future, but definitely not today. I gathered all of these bags and yeah, I even have more. But the common theme of all of these bags that are here on this table is that they come in multiple sizes. And today I wanted to share my thoughts with you about what you should be considering if you're looking into buying a bag that has multiple sizes. Because I'm not sure I've ever seen a video about this, but perhaps you can already learn from some of the, mistakes I've made, so to say, or some of the things I take into considerations if I'm looking into different sizes of a particular style of bag. Especially nowadays, a lot of brands are coming out with smaller versions of the classical bags, or they're even coming out with these type of nano versions like this one of the Loewe Puzzle, but just going by price is definitely not always the way to go. So here are 5 things to take into consideration. Number 1, I think very obviously your lifestyle should dictate to a large extent what type of bag is suitable for you and also what size of bag is suitable for you. A lot of the bags here on the table have multiple ways of carrying them. You can see there's pretty much a theme going on. I really like top handle bags. All of these bags also have a shoulder strap or a crossbody strap, so usually they're quite similar in versatility. So that doesn't always help you very much to determine what size is right for you. But if you're thinking about the things that you would usually pack when you are going out, what is it in terms of volume that you actually need for a bag? Can you get away with a tiny bag because you pretty much always hold your phone in your hands? Or do you need a bag that also will hold your phone? Do you carry essentials like perhaps a lipstick and your keys and your headphones and your phone when you go out of the house? Or are you somebody that will tend to pack a little bit more, or does that vary? Like for me, with the amount of time you're going to spend outside of the house. If I'm just going grocery shopping, this will be fine for me. But if I'm going out for the day, I really prefer to also take, for example, a water bottle with me, sunglasses, perhaps an umbrella, depending on the season. And then I'm more likely to opt for a somewhat bigger bag. But what I've been finding is that there's also this size of bag for me which is not ideal. And that's particular, for example, with this one. This is a Chloé Marcie bag in the medium or regular size. This is just that size of bag for me that is too big. Too big, saying that I have bigger bags, but those bags also fit a laptop. So those types of bags I can take to work and that's perfectly fine. But this bag is just not big enough to hold a laptop, but it's actually just too big for the essential that I would usually take. And therefore I'm finding that I don't really reach for it all that much. So with this particular bag, it would have been better if I would have gone for a smaller size where I wouldn't have felt so much that I'm taking too much bag for the amount of stuff that I'm carrying, or perhaps I should have gone for one size up. This was, I think, the first designer bag that I got, and it is a beautiful bag and I do take it, but I really have to force myself to grab it when I'm going to work, for example, because I feel it's just really a bit of an overkill for the amount of stuff that I want to carry. I'm not the type of person that will carry a makeup bag or that kind of thing, so I usually don't really need all that much space in my bags. So yeah, that is what I mostly learned when we are looking at lifestyle. A lot of bags, irrelevant of the size, have very similar versatility, although of course there are some exceptions, where with the Givenchy Pandora, for example, and I didn't put that one on the table because I was running out of space, but the mini of the Givenchy Pandora opposed to the small doesn't have the top handle anymore. So if that's something that you enjoy, then perhaps don't go for that one, but go for the small or go for the medium, depending on how much volume you need in your bag. Number 2, collection variation. Also related to your lifestyle, if you have the type of lifestyle that always requires you to sort of carry the same amount of stuff around and you need the same type of versatility wherever you go, then perhaps it is desirable to just go for one size of bag when it comes to different styles. I like to switch it up a little bit and alternate it a bit because I basically have 3 types of going out: the bare essentials, going out when I'm just grocery shopping, the kind of going out for a couple of hours or going out for the day, carry a water bottle type of going out, and then I have the work bags which need to hold my laptop. And if you're on the lookout for a new bag, it's something that you might recommend. How do I divide my time or my usage of bags across these different types of usage, and where can I complement my collection best? So if you, for example, have already one work bag and you adore it to bits and it's a workhorse and you carry that every day, then perhaps add a smaller style of bag to your collection. For example, with this Marc Jacobs The Tote bag, which the sizes up are really kind of work bags. This is the mini, but the small and the medium, or no, sorry, the large, they are really more like work bag, travel bag kind of bags. Do I really need that in my collection, or am I much more likely to enjoy a smaller size bag? Point number 3, the looks can alter very substantially depending on the size that a bag has. You will see with a number of bags, for example, with this mini Alexa, or with this Alexa stuff by Mulberry, and this puzzle bag from Loewe, that the bigger sizes become very, very slouchy, and that is something that you need to like, because the material of this bag allows just for more structure when the bag is smaller, and that will just be significantly reduced if you opt for a bigger size that basically is the same model. So I know a lot of people love the slouch on the Loewe Puzzle, and the small, well, sorry, it's stuffed so it doesn't slouch all that much, but the small already kind of has that slouch. But if you go for the medium, it will very significantly have that slouch and further develop it over time. So if you want a puzzle bag that holds a bit more structure over time, it's perhaps better to go with a small, a mini, or a nano if that is your kind of thing. I also pointed out in an earlier video that as a bag gets smaller, the details on the bag can get quite crowded. So for example, with this puzzle nano bag, there's a lot of stitching going on the front, while obviously there's a lot less stitching going on the bigger size of this bag, just because they're trying to replicate the same model. When it comes to this Balenciaga bag, for the even smaller versions of this bag, so this is the small, but there's also a mini and a nano, and especially with the nano, I feel it gets very, very crowded on the front of the bag, because it has all of the same details, so the zipper and these buckles on the front, but you have to do all of that on a much smaller bag, and it just gets very crowded in my opinion, and then I just don't like it all that much anymore. With the Totes, I opted for the smaller one over the bigger one, because this is really just a cute crossbody bag, while if you go for the bigger option, it becomes really more of a workhorse bag. It becomes very bulky and very businessy, so I just didn't like the appearance all that much of the bigger version of this opposed to the small. Number 4, features. This is somewhat related to looks, but I'm talking here more specifically about features that would also be mentioned, for example, on the website. So I wouldn't say that the slouchiness of a bag would be so much of a feature as to an aesthetic. But when I'm talking about features, we can think of, for example, straps that might be different when it comes to different sizes of bags, or perhaps straps that might not be different when it comes to different sizes of bags, because that can also be annoying. So I already pointed out that with the Givenchy Pandora, if you go for the smallest size, you lose the top handle option. With this Loewe Nano Puzzle bag, there's not a leather strap anymore, there is a chain strap, and that's something that you will see with more smaller bags, at least within the Loewe range. So there's also a nano of this Loewe Flamengo bag, which I think also only comes with a chain strap. This C by Chloé Hana bag has a non-detachable strap on the mini size, but when it comes to the medium, all of a sudden the strap is removable, so that can be an interesting feature. When it comes to this Marc Jacobs The Tote bag, I think for the small it still has a similar strap as for the mini, and I think that strap is quite narrow. When it comes to the large size, you lose the crossbody strap and you get these longer straps on the top handle, or what are here the top handle, so you can wear that actually over your shoulder, which changes the aesthetic, but it's also really quite a big feature change, not being able to crossbody a bag anymore, but only to have it as a shoulder bag. And another example of a bag that I didn't put on the table here today, but that's the LM Raisin bag. You see with the LM Raisin that it has a very wide, also non-adjustable and fairly short strap for the crossbody, and that strap is much narrower for the Bowsy and the Madeline of that bag, which is basically the same style but in a smaller version. So just as a word of caution, be aware of feature changes that may occur if you are opting for a smaller or a larger bag. If you are opting for a smaller or a larger version of the style of bag that you are considering, that features might actually change, and they don't really per se copy one-to-one depending on the size. But that can also be an upside depending on what your preference is, or that can also be very determining in terms of what your preference is. If you don't like a shoulder bag, then for example, you will probably not go for the large of the Marc Jacobs The Tote. Point 5. The last thing I wanted to discuss is weight. And weight might be something that people are not really considering. I know that some people are very sensitive about the weight of bags. I've received a question also about this Marc Jacobs The Tote bag, for example, in the leather. Let's say that you are considering a work bag or a travel bag. Again, taking this example of the Marc Jacobs The Tote bag, the large size of the Marc Jacobs The Tote bag is 1.5 kilos, and that is honestly quite heavy for a bag that is still completely empty and that you're going to fill up, because it is a very, very big bag. So especially if you are looking for a large bag, or if you are considering a large style of a bag, also take into account the weight of that bag, because it would be just so unfortunate if you, especially if you order the bag, if you go to the store, then you're going to notice the weight hopefully immediately, but yeah, that you order a bag and you have it sent to your house and then you figure out, like I did, that a bag is very heavy, and that might actually influence how often you're going to use that bag or when you are going to use that bag. I mean, that Marc Jacobs The Tote bag in a large size, I still think it's beautiful, but it's not one that I want to carry to work every day, because I have to walk quite a bit. If I would go by car, it would be perfectly fine. I would just throw it in the car, drive, and then walk those last 5 minutes to the office or wherever I'm going. But if you're already making 10,000 steps in a day, a lot of them already carrying a fairly heavy bag because you're carrying a laptop, then you don't want to add all of that extra weight. So yeah, that is it for today. Those are my 5 thoughts or considerations when it comes to choosing a specific size of bag within a given style. I hope it gave you some food for thought, that you found it useful and or interesting. If you have any questions either about these considerations or the bags that I have here, please feel free to drop your questions down below in the comments and I'll get back to you. For now, remember, there's a styling, a situation, and a taste for everything. And I once again comes back so much looking at all of these different types of bags, from where I could have chosen another size, which I've also done in some cases. I mean, I have duplicates of some of these bags as well, right? So anyway, don't judge, wear whatever the bag you like. Until next time, or as we would say in Dutch, doei!